primary purpose for this video is going to be an introductory video into how to use Civil Labeler and also some of the features that this tool offers to the user so that they can label certain aspects on their plans. Move into a quick demo at the end on some of the labels, and we'll kind of break down the overall dialogue of Civil Labeler so that the user gets a better understanding of how to use the tool and some of the features that are offered within it. Up on the screen here we do have the Civil Labeler icon that you'll be able to see within the Openroads Designer interface up in the top navigation bar. You can find this tool within a few different workflows within ORD, and the primary one that we're going to be looking at today is going to be the Openroads modeling, drawing production, and under the labels category. But as you can see on the screen, there's a few other ones being shown. So if you are a longtime user of Openroads Designer, you'll notice in the past we've been able to use the place label tool to annotate certain civil elements within the DGN file. Whereas now within ORD 2024, you'll notice when you go to try and use this civil label tool, it'll no longer be able to annotate those civil elements. That is primarily the reason why we are creating this Civil Labeler tool video, is so that the end user has a better understanding on how to use the Civil Labeler tool, annotate elements within their plans going forward, since this is no longer going to be offered as an option to the end user anymore. When we get further on within this video, we'll go over a quick demo on some of the interface of Civil Labeler, but I did want to break down some of the categories that we have set up within Civil Labeler via the DGN Lib file. So we have our cross sections annotations, we have our drainage utility annotations, plan, which will be our general annotations. We have our plan intersection annotations and plan linear, plan project flags, and we also have some profile annotations as well. And then we have the points and profile elevations. And we'll go over some of that later on within the demo of Civil Labeler. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to get to Civil Labeler within the ORD interface, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the interface key items, and then we'll go back into a demo on how to place civil labels and some of the aspects when you change within that dialog and how those affect your civil labels. As we discussed earlier, we're going to go over how to get to Civil Labeler within Openroads Designer. So to do this, we just need to go to the workflow drop down here, and we can go into those listed workflows that we talked about earlier. But for this one, we're just going to go to the Openroads modeling, and then we're going to go to the drawing production tab, and then you'll see here we have a labels category. So we're just going to go ahead and click on that. If we go ahead and look at some of the categories that are within the Civil Labeler, as we discussed at the beginning of the video, we do have these categories here, and if we click on these, we can see that we have some cross-section ones. We have the general plan, we have some drainage, and as you can see, we can cycle down through some of these. As we navigate through there, we have more and more options that we can use to label certain aspects of our plans. So if we go ahead and select the ditch option here, this is going to be the overall interface that you'll see throughout the annotation process of using Civil Labeler. And we're going to go break down a little bit more of some of the icons that you may see within this dialog here next within the video. So as you may have seen within the last demo within this video, at the bottom of the Civil Labeler dialog, you may have seen some of the icons being shown that are pre-selected by ODOT's standards, and how we've set up that civil label to be annotated within your plans. But we're going to kind of break down some of those icons and what they may do for you. So you can change those if you need to, depending on how you want that annotation to be viewed within your plans. So we're going to start off with this dimension with the @ symbol. And this is relative association. Next is going to be rotate association. So that's just going to rotation of that element that you're selecting so that it can be perpendicular with that. Next we have the collapse mode, and what this does is just offers an option for better visibility of while you're labeling things to collapse the dialog a little bit so that it's more intuitive for the user to be able to place those, and it doesn't take up as much space if you've only got one screen. Next we have the annotation scale lock. This just locks the annotation as you're placing it to that specific annotation. So as you're going to change that annotation scale, it's not going to allow you to scale that all up and down. And then we have the element association. So this is just going to lock that to that annotation to that element association. So if the element rotates, that annotation is also going to follow that. And then we have the annotation association, which just allows the annotation to be associated to the element that you're selecting as well. Next we have the dynamic justification. This just allows the user to toggle on and off the association of that. So as you're placing that leader, you can turn that off, and it won't automatically select left or right as you're selecting those. It'll always keep it to whatever you have it set to, on which side the leader location is. Next we have the view independent. So what this does is basically allows you to place your label independently from the view rotation. So that brings us to the next icon here, which allows the annotation to be readable depending on whichever rotation of the view is. It's always going to be legible for any of the users that have placed that. It's always going to be able to be read within that plane. So that pretty much covers those icons at the bottom. If you have more questions on those, feel free to reach out to us and we can definitely go over those in more detail. In this video we're just going to kind of demonstrate some of the civil labels that ODOT has within the ODOT workspace that users can take advantage of when they're creating their plans and labeling some of the aspects that they need to on their plans for their design. So we do have in the civil labeler tool here, if I bring that to the center of the screen, you'll see we have our cross sections, drainage, utilities, open ground. We won't be covering those today, or the plan and or the profile annotations this time around, but we will be touching on some of the plan annotations that we have here for users to take advantage of. So if I go ahead and open up the general tool set here, you'll see we have a couple different options for users to use. So we have a feature name and route name option, and if I just go ahead and select some of these, you'll see that we have some different options that we can actually select to our liking. So if we want the rotation to be horizontal with the view, or we could just change the active angle, or however we're wanting to label that. We can lock the perpendicular. We can even use the selection and also a fence. So what that would mean is that we could select using the fence within our view, and we can use that so that it would annotate that specific element. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and hit place, and I'm just going to select my alignment here. As you can see, we're using that feature name, which is St. Peter. And if I go ahead and use that route name, this only will work if you have it predefined within when creating this alignment. So there we do have a video on how to do that. But if I go ahead and hit place and then select that same alignment, you'll see now we're using that route name versus that feature name. So that's always a nice option for users to use when annotating their plans. At the beginning of this video, on some of these toggles at the bottom here, since we've got these predefined by the workspace, I don't typically need to use these, but if I want to change the association when it's being placed in here, or turn some of these options off depending on how I want this to be viewed, that'll allow you to change some of those aspects as I'm placing those. We also have a construction limits here. If I go ahead and select construction limits, if I had Directional limits, that's just a predefined annotation. There's nothing smart about that. If I go to the intersection, we have the same thing with the route and feature name, depending on how you want to do that. But if I go ahead and select the route name right here, hit place, it's going to ask me at the bottom left of the screen, if I can get your attention down there, you'll see identify point station element 1. So it's just asking us where we want that first element to be selected, and then it's going to ask for our second one, and then we'll data point to select that intersection, which, since it's off the screen on this one, it's probably not going to find it. But if I was to do that, if I go into the design model to show this, if we go in here, I'll have to open up the Civil Labeler again just so that we can see this using the intersection tool. Select the station center line, we'll hit place. We're going to select our alignments, and as you see, since that's within view on this one, we can actually select that, and you'll see it'll take that information that's we've defined on the alignment. So going back to that drawing model, we're going to go ahead and talk about a couple other options that we have, which would be underneath this profile elevation. So if I go ahead and expand this out, and I can actually select the left or right. So if I go ahead, well, actually, let's go to elevation along geometry. If we go ahead and select the left, I like to change the intervals on this because it would be kind of too close, but I usually do 25 feet. And I go ahead and select place. I can actually select my alignment and then data point to accept that, and it's going to annotate along that alignment with the elevation. We have a couple other options here. We can do profile annotations, project flags. So if I go in here and select my begin, select my alignment, and we'll just say it's right here. Sometimes it could be a little buggy, but you'll see I can actually modify where I want this to be placed as well by just grabbing the text, and the leader in the box will follow. Now if I ever want to make any changes to either the elevation call out or the station, it will bring your attention that I need to use this circle here and use the move command, select that, and then if I place this along the alignment, I might have to do the update fields, which is located underneath annotation. Go to drawing, annotation, update fields. So sometimes it doesn't automatically update, but you can force an update using that tool here, which is underneath the text category. If you scroll down, it'll be that update all fields. I will say, if you're in the design, you don't have to really worry about that. So if I go into the design model, and we'll do another civil label, which is located underneath that Openroads modeling, as we discussed earlier in the video. Drawing production, we'll go in here, and we'll just do a station call out by this plan points, and we'll do this left partial station, and let's go ahead and select this, and we're just going to select on this side here. We go to place this, you'll see, and if I go ahead and move this, I think it's move this down here so we can see it move up. As you can see, that time, since I'm in the design model, it just automatically updates, versus when it's in the drawing model, it just stays until you do that force update. So that kind of covers some of the different aspects of the Civil Labeler. If you have any more questions, definitely reach out to us, and we can definitely answer more questions on this and go into more detail of the annotation. If you have any questions or concerns on what we've just covered within this video, feel free to reach out to us at the CAD Mapping Services group via service request here, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.